the recent SCO summit, while member leaders were expected to focus on the most pressing global issues, Russian President Vladimir Putin stirred controversy with his open support for the Taliban in terms of diplomatic relations and their potential membership in the SCO. But Putin didn't stop there. He also made sure his views on Ukraine, the US and the West were heard loud and clear, covering a wide range of critical topics for the international community. Putin stated on July 4th that the Taliban are now considered allies in the fight against terrorism. Despite the Taliban being under UN sanctions for terrorism, Putin acknowledged their control over Afghanistan and stressed the importance of engaging with the country's actual political forces.
I am sure that the Taliban are also interested in everything in Afghanistan being stable, calm and subject to certain rules. And we have repeatedly received such signals from the Taliban that they are ready to work with us on the anti-terrorism track.
Putin mentioned that the Taliban have made certain commitments, and given their control over Afghanistan, they are viewed as allies in combating terrorism. He also highlighted ongoing cooperation from the Taliban on counter-terrorism efforts. On the topic of Afghanistan potentially becoming a full member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, Putin said that this decision involves all SCO members, not just Russia.
I have already said that we are in contact with the Taliban movement. We have repeatedly received signals that the Taliban movement is ready to cooperate with Russia in various directions, including on the anti-terrorist track, and we welcome this. But as for full membership in the SCO, Russia does not decide this unilaterally. It is always decided based on consensus. There are issues with various countries, members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This concerns the inclusiveness of power in Afghanistan.
Regarding internal matters, Putin discussed the possibility of creating a unified parliament for the Union state of Russia and Belarus. He suggested that it was only a matter of time before deeper integration occurred, which could include a common currency in the future. Putin explained that there are already intra-parliamentary and intergovernmental structures between Russia and Belarus, and moving to a unified parliament is a matter of time.
As for the Union state, it is developing. We remember all the goals and tasks set out in the initial documents. We are, in fact, moving along this path. We simply decided, and the president of Belarus believes, and I support him, that in the first stage, it is necessary to address economic rather than political issues. We need to create a base for further convergence on the political track.
Addressing relations with Turkey, Putin acknowledged the challenges, but noted mutual interest in strengthening ties. He praised Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's political will to improve Ankara-Moscow relations.
We have our discussions regarding the nuclear power plant in Sinop. We believe we can take serious steps on this issue. As you stated, this trade volume of $55 billion is not very important for us. Our goal was to reach $100 billion, and I believe we can reach this $100 billion. We have the potential in this regard.
On the Ukraine conflict, Putin said that while Russia remains open to negotiations, resolving the conflict solely through mediators is unlikely due to its complexities. He emphasized that Russia has always been in favor of negotiations, but believed finalizing the conflict solely through mediators was unlikely because they probably wouldn't have the authority to sign final documents.
Who can give the mediator powers that could put an end to this confrontation? I just think it's unlikely. But mediation, well, for example, Mr. Erdogan did this during our negotiation process in Istanbul. We welcome mediation in itself.
Putin reiterated that a ceasefire with Ukraine is impossible before the start of negotiations due to uncertainty over Kiev's response. He also described Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as illegitimate and saw no point in turning to the Verkhovna Rada.
We cannot allow that after the ceasefire the enemy took advantage of this ceasefire to improve its position, arm itself, replenish its army through forced mobilization, and be prepared to continue the armed conflict. We need to ensure that the other side agrees to take steps that are irreversible and would be acceptable to the Russian Federation.
Commenting on US-Russia relations, Putin responded to former President Donald Trump's desire to end the war in Ukraine. While he expressed support for Trump's intentions, he noted unfamiliarity with specific proposals.
The fact that Mr. Trump, as a presidential candidate, declares that he is ready and wants to stop the war in Ukraine, we take this quite seriously. I am not, of course, familiar with his possible proposals regarding how he is going to do this. And this, of course, is the key question. But I have no doubt that he means it sincerely, and we will support it.
Putin also warned of a mirror-like response to the deployment of American missiles and announced Russia's readiness to produce medium-range and shorter-range missiles.
As for deployment, if you remember, if not, I will remind you, I said that we are declaring a moratorium on the possible future deployment of our corresponding systems until these missile complexes appear somewhere in the world. If American-made intermediate and shorter-range missiles appear somewhere, we will then reserve the right to act mirror-wise. Everything remains as we said.